vibing back there, man. I love it.
I'm vibing, bro. This is it right here, bro. This
I love
is gold.
it. I love it. Hey, good morning, guys. Good freaking morning.
Big GMs.
Big GMs, guys. Another special guest today. Extra special guest. Another family member from Crypto Slam. I don't know if I should introduce you as Hustle Hat or your real name. I don't know. I didn't put you in the title specifically because I wasn't sure. But
yeah, no. So obviously, Hustle Hat is what people know me by in Web3, but my real name's obviously Chris.
Chris, welcome, dude. I can't believe it's your first time on the show. By the way,
I know it's wild, bro. I've been dying to come on here, bro. You're the man, bro. I love it. Love it.
Make the magic happen here finally.
Yo, are you kidding me, man? And there's so much to talk about. There's so much to talk about.
Dude, yes, I can't freaking wait. Marco, good morning, man. Dude, let's get into. Okay, I want to hit some obvious stuff today. I definitely want to get to market. I'm going to kind of save that towards later, just whenever, right? Hot topic right now is it's Trump on Twitter. Well, I should say back on Twitter, but bigger story is Mega Spaces yesterday. I'm assuming you listened to it, but man, That was the event. Everybody, not just here in the space, like crypto, its home is here on X, right? We live in the home of crypto, but the whole damn world was watching Donald Trump and X, and we'll get to it. But huge missed opportunities there. At the same time, again, it's a pretty interesting milestone moment for him in this little political season. Interesting stuff. So I guess. To that point, did you listen?
Yeah. Oh my God, did I listen? Yeah. No, I tuned in right away. I was actually already prepared. I was like, listen, we're gonna get it. I couldn't get in at first, so I saw a lot of people were complaining because I saw, in the comments, they're like, "Yo, I can't get in. I can't get in.
It's broken."
Yeah, it was fucking broken. And the next thing you know, Elon's sending tweets out that they've been like, DDoS'd, and I'm like, okay, interesting. And people started panicking as usual, and then eventually I got in, and then. It was good, man. To me personally, man, I'm sure we'll dig into it, but I thought it was a pretty solid interview.
Yeah, damn, almost 3. Hang on, was it 2 hours or 3 hours?
It was damn near almost 3 hours.
Yeah, okay. I checked. So I ended up streaming it yesterday, which was a lot of fun. I really like doing that. We streamed over on my personal channel, streamed the Biden-Trump debate. So Henry and I did that. It was a lot of fun. Mostly because I'll tell you this, if it weren't for the fact that these guys, well, first off, are talking crypto finally. I mean, about damn time, but the world's really woken up to crypto, and so of course it's a political issue here. I mean, that gets us to the unfortunate part where it wasn't mentioned once, which is a huge bummer. But separately, man, Polymarket has injected so much extra fun to anything, and of course an event like this. So that was the biggest thing I was focused on, along with the audience of what's he going to say, what's he not going to say, and I'm curious if you've touched Polymarket yet, and we'll get into thoughts about it. And actually, there's a broader topic here about Polyfi. And I hate these fucking terms, man. Polyfi and SoFi or SocialFi, and so much more. It's so tied together. But yeah, let me zoom out a little bit. Do you touch Polymarket? How do you like how Polymarket, I guess, changes what the listening environment for something like this?
Yeah, no, I think it plays a big part of it. I mean, it's at the end of the day, a lot of these platforms open up new possibilities. I know they're like, casinos in a way, some people think. Haven't played with it too heavily, but I have, dabbled in it. I think it's pretty dope. I think it's interesting, especially finding unique ways to take all this data and all this stuff happening off chain and on chain and bringing it together. So it's pretty cool.
Pro tip. All right. If you've not touched it yet, you got to use a VPN, which sucks. You can't be here in the States and use the platform. So on that note, I didn't use it because I'm not going to try to get around the rules that way. That said, a friend of mine from overseas definitely used it and told me all about his experience on it. It was pretty great. He made a bet on Bitcoin. Is Donald Trump going to say Bitcoin, yes or no? We saw people across the space betting on, is he going to say crypto? Is he going to say MAGA? I mean, you see a list here of these are the bets. These are the markets here yesterday. MAGA, crypto, censorship, Transmars, tampon. He fucking said tampon. The man said tampon, and he didn't say Bitcoin. He didn't say crypto. He didn't say, is there any other? No, that was it for crypto-related stuff. I mean, it
Wait,
didn't
was
go how I
tampon
expected.
really like a pre-word? Did somebody
Yeah.
actually say like, yo, he's gonna say tampon?
Dude, odds were like I think 20% somewhere in that ballpark that he would say tampon.
But
Let's
where
see.
did that factor come from? Like a
Here we go.
previous interview? Like where did somebody even get the idea that this guy would say the word tampon?
So I think that's been okay. It's a really, really interesting point. This is why, guys, this is so fascinating how crypto is changing. I mean, it is a game changer in so many ways. It's a game changer for news. Pump.fun, right? The meme coin platform on Solana.
Yeah.
It's a place people can go now for news because when new meme coins pop up and they're getting hot, they get pushed to the top. Think of it like likes on a tweet or an upvote. If you see something near the top, it's pretty damn relevant. People can go to pump.fun to some degree to get news. Similar with betting markets, you find a hot market here, it might be really, really hot news that you didn't even know was a thing. So more recent is Kamala's VP pick. What is it? Tim Walz? I think that's the dude's name. Tim Walz. It's been out in the news that he was putting tampons in the men's restrooms, right? So regardless of what people feel about that, that's why this was on here. Would Trump make a comment on that? Again, I hadn't heard that was in the news. I also learned it from Polymarket. It shows how relevant these platforms are, but in a different way. It's not just degening. It's not just gambling. It's more. You can stay very up to date on these things. So there it is. Tampon. Yes, he said it.
Oh man, that's wild. And somebody ate off that too. That's the crazy part. Somebody clipped a bag off that.
Yeah, I like how they do it too. I don't bet on sports. I wish I did. I don't bet on anything. I'm like
I never was a sports. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. When I go to casino, this last weekend went to AC. So like, if it's like poker or like roulette table, you'll get me.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I'm glad I don't live around that stuff because I'd lose it all. We'd be me and the kids and wife would be homeless. But what I like about this, it's not just that you're betting yes, no, because I mean you are doing that, but you're basically buying shares of it at a price. You don't have to wait for this to close. You don't have to wait for the official ruling to come in. At any point, you can sell your yes shares. If it's up, if the odds are in your favor, you can sell. You can get out early. And I love that. I mean, and again, because I don't bet on anything else, I don't know if that's normal. I don't know if that's how typical betting works, but here, it's how it works. And I really, really like, man, the gamification of everything. Like
It's
everything.
dope.
So
It's the
fun.
future. It is the future. I think everything, whether it be politics, whether it be, I even think people work environments will be, gamified in the future. What's up, Benny?
Well,
I see
dude.
a whole bunch of GMs in there, man.
Yeah, dude. The crew's here. I know a lot of guys are finishing up vacations too. I mean, man, it's the last week of summer vacation. My kids go back to school tomorrow. It's like that energy's here.
September
Everybody's a
5th for
little
me.
tense, dude. Right? It's just you get that. I don't. Dude, as a dad now, I feel bad. I remember how anxious I would get, and every kid feels it, and it's just so normal. But I just feel bad when I know my kids are like anxious and shit, and you feel.
Especially mine's going into first grade though. He's 6 years old, but he's been it's all he's talking about. Oh, am I going to see new people? Or am I going to see my old friends? And I'm like, yeah, listen, man. Some kids love it. Some kids hate school, but I don't think I'll tell you this: if I can go back now, I would definitely listen, man. I would definitely do it over again. It's dope.
Oh man. Okay, I'm the oldest one here. Probably out of most of the audience, I'm one of the older guys. It's funny, man. I think back a lot to how I would do it differently. But I tell you what, dude, I'm not wasting time now. It's like I think about that now. All the time. I really like to self-reflect. I'm like, okay, dude, if you got 20 good years left, what are you going to do to make those fucking, couple decades count? I love thinking back about that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
so
true.
As much as I try to share that with the kids and try to get them a little less anxious and tell them how fun it is and just enjoy it. And I don't give a shit about the grades. I give a shit if you're trying, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, of course. I think we're all kids who just adult meat suits. Like, to be honest with you, I don't feel like any much different at Spirit than I did when I was younger.
Dude,
you know what I mean?
I'm
like,
glad. I can sense that from you. So Chris and I have really gotten to be friends over the past few
Yeah,
months
just
at least
the
now.
homie.
And you've got that youthful energy and spirit. And I think that's why we get along so well. My kids always tell me too, they're like, why are you a kid? Which sometimes they hate.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's
fucking
nothing
weirdo
wrong
off.
with that. Yeah, there's nothing wrong. You need to be in this world, man. There needs to be a little bit more light, a little more personality. I think we have too much of the same thing over and over again. And I think that's what we're seeing now. Social norms are breaking down. And I don't think it's a bad thing. You can have a social construct and at the same time have some type of life and personality within that, for sure. I think
Part of
people
that's why
realize
this shit's so fun.
Exactly.
It keeps it a little lighthearted, doesn't it? It's like these are very serious. I mean, come on. The topics again, crypto is a serious topic,
Yeah,
Make America
by
great
all
again.
means.
If you think about what that means, that's a very serious statement here. Censorship,
Absolutely.
all these are very serious topics. And this adds a little lightheartedness to it all. And some people might think this is sacred stuff, and you shouldn't. You shouldn't diminish how important this is. I disagree. Get people engaged and interested in this, in politics, in the world itself. Give them a vested interest in caring about this stuff, because most people don't give a shit anymore. Make them care. For whatever reason, whatever the motive is, make them care, make them pay attention. And man, let's just kind of make it a little more real. This certainly does it, man. It certainly does.
Oh no, 100%. That's what Web3 did. I think Web3 cracked the can open for people to not only be themselves, but be themselves in a professional environment. I don't think he would have been ever, sometimes when I speak with people, companies or friends that own bigger businesses, they're like, "What do you get to do for a living?" I'm like, "Yeah, man. Like, are you kidding me?" And at the same time, there's a lot of people that make even more than people that are working 9 to 5s and standard jobs. It's just, at the end of the day, what I loved about Web3 is it brought the weirdos, unks, chumps, and punks and everybody together. It was kind of like, a place where everybody can congregate about everything, between politics, between science, but you name it. And I think that's what's so interesting about it, that this future, this next generation that's moving into politics, that's moving into all these positions of authority, are unique in a sense where they're not as wound as tight. They understand that, you live one life, so you might as well live it to the fullest and do it in such a way where you're being genuine, as opposed to just having to live up to this ideology just because somebody in a tower told you to.
Yes. Yep. Man, okay, I'm kind of like on the spot. I'm just kind of brainstorming.
No, shoot it, let it fly, man.
Dude, there's room for a like a political show. Okay, you guys watching, I dabble. I dabble in politics here. I don't go too far. I'm not voting for either of these two clowns in this upcoming election. I'm not. And I try to keep it only in politics when there's something really, really relevant like this. It's crypto focused. That said, thinking about how it does bring people together, how you could get people on opposite sides of a topic and get them together talking about something, because you got a bet going on, a friendly wager through something like this. There's room for a show focused around politics and crypto, and that is the sole focus of the show, that actually gets some really interesting conversations going. There's something there. We gotta let that marinate.
More than there. I mean, you'll have full blown. It'll look like MTV, like a reality show.
Yeah.
People will be in there like at the top of their lungs, like housewives.
Yeah.
Like I'm telling you, it's good. Politics is getting deep in with crypto now. It's really interesting, especially to see what the Trumps are doing and Eric and all them. I think it's whoo.
Yeah. I sent a little shit posty reply to Eric Trump this morning. I'll pull that up here in a minute.
What did you say? That's epic.
I'm starting to get a little teasy. He tweeted out something like, it's been 23 days since Kamala Harris has done an interview, something like that.
Okay.
And I replied, it's been less time than that since the Trumps launched or rugged a token, some shit like that. Just a little poke. Because guys, I was hoping yesterday. I was hoping yesterday, if Donald Trump is releasing a meme coin, which we don't know if he is. We know Eric and Don Jr. sound like they're launching a meme coin. We weren't sure if it was a Trump token. And I was like, man, this is a real spicy opportunity that he drops it live with this kind of audience. And man, speaking of this kind of audience, I will pull up some numbers. Massive.
It was wild. It was absolutely ridiculous. I've never seen anything like it on media.
What did the numbers come in at off the top of your head? Do you recall?
Listen, it's up in the air because I heard Trump saying something and it didn't make sense, but I heard him mention 60 million.
You know where that comes from? Oh, that was okay.
And
this
I'm
is
like,
actually really
wait
important.
a minute. How the hell is that possible? Because when I looked down in the chat, I saw 2 million. Like I saw like anywhere between like 250,000. Then I saw 1 million. Then I saw 2 million. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
That was interesting when it happened live. Again, why this is such a great tool to get conversations going. First off, guys, smash the like, share out the show, throw some love on this, drop some comments, all that stuff. It helps a ton. It really, really does help. And I appreciate the hell out of you guys. Okay, why that matters? Okay, Trump says. Let me. I can't do a Trump impression. I was about to try. I can't.
No, you should go for it. Go for it.
I was going to make fun of it the way he was talking because he was like sloshing around in his fucking mouth. It was weird. But okay, he was saying there's 60 million people watching. Everybody collectively, you could hear everybody hit their foreheads. You heard this slap around the world. Everyone's like, brother, we see it right now. 1.2 million are listening live. Impressive number. You don't got to say 60 mil. Dude, as soon as he said it, I thought that. I'm like, hang on a second. He's looking at something different. I'm like, he's got to be looking at impressions, or they're looking at behind the scenes data and it's 60 mil throughout the 3 hours of tuned in. I'm like, it makes sense. I don't think he's lying, although most people did. People pounced on him. They're like, this guy's so full of shit.
Yeah, but
why would you lie?
998 million views is
That's
fucking insane.
wild.
That's
But
fucking bananas, bro.
unheard of, fucking numbers.
Ever. Even in legacy media like that, you can combine every major network together and you wouldn't touch that fucking number.
And how many people were streaming like I was, like not watching directly, but broadcasting it? I think over 500-600 people tuned in. And there were other big shows, Tim Pool and tons of others that were streaming, and they have tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands watching live. It was probably the biggest interview ever. Maybe
Ever.
it's up there.
Probably, I would argue that was definitely in contention for the largest interview, especially views. And yeah, 100%.
Yep. Now, not to get too political, but it also highlighted the good and bad about Trump. He doesn't lie on purpose, right? Trump believes what he's saying.
100%.
When he said, he does. He does. When he said there's 60 million people listening or tuning, whatever he said, and people thought that was just a lie right in your face, it's like, no, he's looking at something and he's interpreting it one way, and he didn't lie. It was actually accurate. But that ties into so many other things that Trump says. Let's say like the Kamala Harris airplane photo where he's sharing this photo that he's saying it's AI generated because you don't see the reflection. Trump believes that because he saw other people tweeting it, and he doesn't go in to verify. It's a problem. Absolutely, it's a problem. That is not an AI generated photo, I don't believe. But it also goes back to the election interference thing. He saw things that he believes, people showed him data points, and he believes them. Most of them are not true. Most of them. That's what I believe. I believe most of those points were not true. But again, he is not lying. He is not trying to manipulate you with data he knows is wrong. It's data he believes in, guys. And then it's on us to have that conversation. Us here on X in the public, town square, to have that conversation. And you say why it's not true, why it's not real. And you have data to back it up. But again, him dropping that number just got me thinking about that. He is presenting data and numbers that he believes in. So
I think here's the thing about him too. I look at Trump the same way you would look at your grandfather or somebody else. Like, you know what I mean? There's some values that they just have. They grew up in a different era. They're traditional. He's really good at what he's good at. Like, the guy, regardless of what you want to say, he's been able to build an empire. You could say bankruptcies and all this, but that's how business works. That's a typical business practice. If you didn't go bankrupt, you're not a billionaire. You know what I mean? So at some point, you keep going. And I think what ended up happening is obviously as time has gone by and he's gotten older, it's a new generation. Everything is different. He's so used to building teams around him, and you have people to do those types of things for you. So for him, I think he overlooks some of those, simplistic things that are probably more important to, in our demographic or younger people, you know what I mean? Because it's attention to detail for us. We're in that kind of, focus, that state of mind where when you're in a bigger office or and you're something like that, this guy, you got to think about what does he do every day? And once again, doesn't speak to him being like a good person per se. It just speaks to the facts, like you said. So let's imagine you're in a big office, you don't have time to, focus on every little thing. So you probably got people bringing you paperwork all day. You got to say, looking at this, like, what's the bird's eye view? What is the decision that I need to make right now? Like, tell me, what decision am I making? Give me the data to make it. And I think that's kind of how it's been. So for him, when he's glancing over these things, I agree with you. I think he is a guy who could, he could be in, Mar-a-Lago right now, living his best life, traveling the world. But I think in his mind, he truly believes that, and I'm not saying he's not, his intentions aren't pure, but he truly believes that he's trying to save the country. Like, in his mind, he's like, this is it. This is the push. Like, I need to do this. These last few years of my life, this is what I'm going to cap it off with. So, I got to give him at least conviction, and credit for that at least.
And I want the Trump meme coin. God.
Oh my God, man. Yo.
Now that's the thing I don't know if he actually believes. I know he believes he can make money on it.
No,
I believe that.
He's got younger people running out. His sons are doing that shit for him. He's probably got Barrett telling him, like, yo, Dad, I'm telling you, this is the move. Like, I'm telling, this is the cook, Dad. This is the cook.
It's funny, though, behind the scenes, like, knowing that Barron Trump, I mean, he definitely was involved in that DJT token. He definitely was. Hearing him through Martin Shkreli and other people say that, like, he's like, guys, I got to get out of this. I can't say anything. My dad's yelling at me right now. It's like picturing him in the background, like understanding enough to be like, get the fuck out of there, Barron.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, cut this shit
absolutely.
Out. Like,
he's like, I got enough shit to deal with. I got enough shit to deal with. I got to worry about you doing some fucking crypto token online. No, 100%.
Yeah, the guy definitely he knows crypto. Now, man, still more to talk about in that interview. But man, I hope we hear Kamala on something very similar. And Elon did offer to Kamala to come on and do the exact same thing. He'll host the spaces. Hopefully, it goes a few hours. I hope it's not an hour. I was glad the Trump one is as boring as it got at times. I was glad it wasn't 1 hour because you're not going to have a real conversation, I don't think, in an hour. You're going to get the more packaged responses. It got past a certain point. It started getting looser, and you could tell it was just kind of going where it
It
naturally
sounded
or
like a phone
organically
call.
needed
It
to go.
sounded like a phone call in the end. Like when you got on it, it just sounded like I truly believe that I've seen all sides for both of these people, like especially Spaces. I like some people were saying Spaces are dead. I disagreed because I feel like Spaces bring out a different intimacy. Like it's different than when you're on camera. People tend to act camera, your inhibition, doesn't go out the window as much as it does if you just have something to hide behind, like a voice or something like that. And I think over time you start to see those little inflections and those little details that force you to focus on that, and the way they converse, the way they put sentences together, all those small things that tend to actually make the biggest impact.
Yeah, funny enough, I'm noticing too more and more the video stuff's getting they're getting numbers, man. Like video's certainly overtaken, traditional spaces. I agree. I don't think spaces are dead. There's a time and place for those. There's a time and place for the video stuff.
100%.
It's getting interesting. But tomorrow we have Crypto for Harris. It's a like a town hall, I guess. Kamala is not going to be there, which I still feel is a missed opportunity. But if she's not revealing her general policies, for her presidency, then why would we expect her to come out and drop her crypto policies first? So it makes sense she's not there. But with that said, we are going to hear from people that are very close to her, and I think we'll start getting an idea of where she stands on crypto, which I hope is
Yeah,
changed.
but that's not good. That and for both parties, like you have to talk about, it has to come from you. Like it can't come from somebody else. If you're going to tell me what you are going to do, what I mean, first person, then I need to know what it is that you're going to do. If I don't know where you stand, that's shady. Like anybody that picks the middle ground is just simply saying, okay, I'm not getting involved. Like I get it. It's one thing to not get involved for certain reasons, especially when it can cause issues, personal life, business. It could be anything. Maybe you just don't want anything to do with it. But when you're putting yourself out there to be in a position of power, you're relinquishing that right. You know what I mean? You're basically saying, hey, I am a product of the people. I am a champion of the people. I am a leader. You're a public servant at that point, as they like to say. So like to me, like, yeah, you damn well better be telling me what it is you stand for and what it is you want to do. It's supposed to be a democratic republic, last I checked, but
and so close to the election, we must know. She's so new, in as far as being the candidate. She's so new. I get why she doesn't have it out there yet, but we're so close. We got to get those. We got to get your policies, ma'am. Can we know what you're running on?
A lot of people say she's like super, because you look at her father and you've heard people say that, like you'll hear things from both sides. Like I said, it's just a matter, it's easier to hear from, because if you listen to Trump, he's going to say she's communist. Look at her father was a known commie, registered, you know what I mean, all that good stuff. And then you'll hear from her side, he's this and he's that. So I would rather hear from her as well, just so I could see what's her side as well.
Yeah. Now, we're starting to get these little details. Again, this is why it's so important that she comes out and says what her stance is. But some details coming out about who she's bringing onto her team. And let's read through this live. I skimmed it. I want to actually read this a little more. But she's bringing some not crypto-friendly people onto that team. And again, this is why, as much as I don't trust much of what Trump says, I trust nothing any politician says. So I'll say that. I don't trust that she will be as crypto as she's signaling she's going to be. I don't think she's going to be, man. I don't.
No,
so here's new evidence that Kamala Harris will continue crypto crackdown. Her advisor choices suggest she will keep Biden's hostile attitude to crypto. But speaking of that, though, there was a meeting with the Biden. There was a team. I don't want to say it's his staff. It's got to be to some degree. Meeting with crypto industry heavyweights, insiders last week, people from Coinbase, all kinds of major platforms. And it felt like there was a big divide between them, more that they were not familiar with each other. The Biden team, not really familiar with the crypto team, and actually caught off guard by how angry they were. I don't know how much of this is purposeful and how much is just they've been so hands-off that they just haven't understood, right? The hostile
I have a thesis on
policies.
this. I have a short thesis on. So the reason why, and this is crazy, but I think it makes a lot of sense, and I think you'll think it makes sense in the audience. Trump made a lot of his career in the media, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like after, obviously, he made his money, real estate, all that good stuff, casinos, other businesses. He spent a lot of time in the media, whether it was on Oprah back in the day through all the way to The Apprentice. And the one thing about Web3 that you have to understand is that Web3 is very culture centric. It's very like in the now. It's not just, I don't want to use the word hip because it makes it sound so old, but it really is relevant, to what's going on, and with everything, with news, with politics. It's like new wave culture. It is the center of culture, and a lot of people don't even know that. Like, it's the cutting edge of that. Just like how people in the 60s were listening to, maybe Cream, psychedelic era. Just like, every era had a rebel music. When 80s hair metal was big and Nirvana dropped Bleach and everything else, and like people were like, oh my god, what is this? So I think when it comes to like Kamala and Biden and just saying the Liberal Party overall, I feel like these people in general, they don't have a connection to that, because they're not media people. They're not people that tend to keep their ear to the ground of what's going on. They're very policy centric. They're very, focused on the large group, the overall. And I think Trump tends to know how to play that, because he looks for those sectors. He looks for those demographics, for instance, because when you're running a TV show or something, you're like, okay, well, what's my demographic? What's my target audience? So he tends to stay up on things, at least try to, or have advisors to let him know, hey, what's going on right now with this, and this. To them, they're still kind of like, if you ask me, a little outdated in their approach.
So I have on screen here some of the people who are involved in this little, roundtable, whatever this meeting was last week. The Deputy Treasury Secretary. What's the NEC? NEC Director.
NEC Director. I don't even know. Look it up.
NEC.
The top officials, including Department of Treasury Secretary and NEC Director.
Yeah. National. No, it's not National Electrical Code. Okay, it's not that. Oh, no, hang on. Is it? Well, no. Actually, it might be. The National Electrical Code sets guidelines and regulations that dictate how electrical systems are installed and used in the United States. Maybe kind of having to do with mining, maybe.
That's interesting.
That could be what that is. But it was interesting. What we heard after this meeting was it was a bit of a screaming match, not necessarily the Biden side screaming at the crypto industry. It was the opposite. The crypto industry executives screaming at this group, which is, again, interesting. They're very, very upset. Guys, as I know a lot of you are, I am, right? Like, just angry at how much red tape there is, how much, it seems unwillingness there is to let this stuff grow and thrive. At one point, one of them asked the crypto side, one of the guys on the crypto side asked that side, guys, how many of you have had trouble accessing banking? Every single one raised their hands. Every single one. And it felt like the Biden side was caught off guard with that. Again, I don't think they're trying to be hostile. I'm not sure. They're trying to, again, protect the banking sector and TradFi. They're trying to protect that. At the same time, you can't, they understand the opportunity here. You can't have this building go elsewhere. They get it. It's just, man, that is a really delicate thing to navigate with how new this is and how disruptive it is.
Well, it's because they also, they haven't taken the steps to secure the future for that. For example, like, right now, country, shout out to you, Cosmos. Listen, yeah, I was a big grunger growing up, man. I loved it. I'm 34, but like, that was the days, man. Anyway, to be honest with you, man, it's like, when I look at that whole system in place, I think that, they're trying to protect what they know and what they understand. You know what I mean? They say that it's interesting, though, because like you would think, because you're progressive, you would be, more for things like this and leaning forward. But I think right now we're not really ahead of that race. Like, as far as the mining is concerned, as far as everything that's going on in Asia, I do think that it's something that you have to focus on, whether you like it or not, because it's not going to go away. The SWIFT system is getting outdated at this point. And, I think people are already, worrying about how long it takes to send money over, how long it takes to do this. I think it's all about control. And if you can control the system, it's like a closed system. If you're able to control it, because you think about it, the US dollar is so integrated into, every aspect of the world that it's like, there's no way. I mean, us pulling out the dollar would literally crash the entire planet. So it's one of those things where I think also there's two different sides. There's the people that are like, okay, well, we need to preserve this because this is where we keep, everything at bay. We keep control. We're able to keep the machine churning and burning. And then there's the other side where it's like, well, we need a hedge against this. Personally, I think we need a hedge. I think it needs to be a reserve current, not like a whole currency, a digital. I don't think we should have a digital currency. I don't think any country should have a digital currency, actually. But I think there should be a universal currency that people can tap into for sure.
Not Bitcoin?
Yeah, no, I think Bitcoin definitely is a great store of value. I'm 100% for Bitcoin. I jumped on, crypto 2015 originally from a Reddit post. I got into ETH at Geth and ETH miner and had a 980. and mined for a little bit. I thought it was cool, but then I was like, all right, wait, forget this. I didn't think, didn't see it going anywhere. And then I jumped on Doge again, 17. I just had a whole bag I forgot about, and lo and behold, I made some money off that. And then the rabbit hole I went down, it was over. So I've always been a Bitcoin, like an OG Maxi when it came to those, but I do think that as far as like a reserve currency, as far as a store of value, a universal store of value, it's invaluable. I think it's a hedge against everything. Political parties, dictatorship, just in general. I feel like if something hits the fan, people need to be able to have an escape. And sometimes, there's a lot of people that rely on that crypto. Think about families that come from overseas to build a life. They can ship money back to their families, all that good stuff. There needs to be regulation for sure. I'm a big advocate for regulation because it weeds out the scammers, it weeds out all the bullshit, and that's for the simple fact that it costs more at that point to scam. That's why, if you're able to build a platform where you make it hard or costly for people to do that, like Elon, he couldn't ban bots, he couldn't, no one can. You can't do anything about that. There's not much you can really do right now. I mean, AI, I'm sure in the future will have, solutions for those pain points. But the fact of the matter is that the best way to do it is just increase the cost to do it. And that's why you have more genuine people on the platform now.
So all great points. Part of the reason why it has been so difficult for the government to, kind of embrace crypto is what's the value of it? It's how there's going to be a significant power shift if they don't do it the right way. Think of this. We fight wars over oil. There's no denying we fight wars over oil. I saw a report just this morning. Bitcoin is now the sixth most valuable currency in the world, almost a 1.2 trillion dollar market cap. Oh, that's Bitcoin alone, actually, not even the entire crypto market. That's just Bitcoin. I think a lot of us here think it has the potential to flip gold, which is around a $14 trillion market cap. Is that right? Am I thinking right numbers here? I think so.
I'm looking at it right now. I'm looking at it. Yeah.
But think of this again. We fight wars over oil because of the value of it, but also the power. Who has power because they control it? The market cap of the oil industry here, again, this is quick Google searches. I still question everything, how accurate, but $7.2 trillion. It makes sense why Bitcoin, they're resistant to it, why they want to get it right, why they're so controlling of it, why they wanted to resist it at first, because this does, if they don't do it right, give up power, give up control. And in theory, guys, it's a thing we loved about crypto early on is we felt like it gives people more power, more control, needing government a whole lot less, right? And that was something that was so appealing to all of us. I don't know if the same thing is even possible anymore, right? I think
no, you're not wrong. But I tell people too, it's crazy coming from people that work in Web3 and you hear this, but I think cash matters too. The reason why it matters is the same reason. Like, think about it. Warren Buffett, shout out to the GOAT. You know what I mean? The fact of the matter is recently when he sold half of his Apple stock, he was one of the largest holders in Apple. I think he has like one of the world's largest reserves of cash now at 270. I roughly when I checked $270 million. So you got to remember, or was it 270 billion? I think it was like something fucking wild number. Check that number out. I think it was like 270 billion or something like that. And think about it. God forbid, solar flare. You can do whatever rabbit hole you want to go down. Solar flare, electronical systems, stuff like that. I think that these systems have to coexist. I think there's a middle ground here. And, unfortunately, we live in a society that's forcing you to choose sides. Like, not to get esoteric, but the fact of the matter is society has pushed you, and it always has to a degree. Like, you're either going to be here or you're going to be here. But there is a middle road. I think like everything in life's about balance. And when it comes to crypto and it comes to politics, when it comes to just in general, all this technology, there has to be a middle ground. And I think, unfortunately, with lobbyists and political interests and investors, they try to pull you over here or over here, and it's very rare where people meet in the middle. But that's for a whole nother. That's the political system, the two-party system, and all that other bullshit.
Let's talk a little scammy stuff, man. A little scammy stuff. Let's get into a little pumped.fun. There's still quite a bit to get into, man. Jeez. Actually, okay. I'm going to save that for a quick minute because I want to get into pumped.fun and how that market performed last night during the interview. What's going on with pumped.fun right now? And that just ties in because, again, we're talking about control and kind of the safety of this, the crypto markets, this whole sector. I want to just peek at crypto real quick, see how it's performing, especially because we got some interesting news this morning that more Mt. Gox Bitcoin is on the move here, right? We already saw I think it was about 3 billion worth moving last week, the week before. In total, what is it? Is it 9 billion in total from the
Yeah.
Mt. Gox Bitcoin distribution here? We're I think we've worked our way through a majority of it. I don't. This is not the final distribution. I think there's another 1 billion to go after this. Maybe a little more. Don't quote me on this stuff, guys. I've not been following the wallets. Although you can use Arkham, guys. They've got dashboards set up. You can follow those wallets just all on your own, which is pretty awesome. Part of the beauty of the blockchain, by the way, guys, transparent. I mean, you see it on chain. You can trust it. But yeah, almost $2.2 billion. Oh, hang on. Am I reading this right? Movements from guys, I totally misread this. That money did not move yet. They sent a test transaction from that wallet, which holds around 2 billion in Bitcoin, which means they're getting ready to send it off. And then, of course, we watch the market and we see if there's an impact to it sentiment wise. And then we also watch to see if and when it actually hits the market. So should
Also
be interesting.
the FTX bankruptcy as well.
Dude,
I think 16 billion in cash. They're gonna sideline the crypto.
That's interesting too. So check this. Yeah, I mean, great point. That's a key factor coming up here the rest of this year, guys. That's why I'm pretty damn bullish on the last half of this year, especially October on. But man,
oh my god,
look at this: Bitcoin 59K, ETH 2600, Solana $145. Down 24 hours. Not terrible. Again, I've said, treading water now. I expect us to be treading water here over the next few weeks and probably, guys, couple months. But again, most volatile period in the history of crypto. I mean that right now. I think we're living through it. I think it's going to be a lot more chaotic. This political season, man, it's you just don't know what's going to come next, right? We saw things ripping during the Bitcoin conference. We saw stuff before suffering from a lot of this. I think it's fuckery, some coordinated fuckery with the German Bitcoin sell-off.
My fucking god, absolutely.
It's wild, but the thing we have, the carrot at the end of the stick here is, like you said, this FTX distribution. So there was a ruling last week. 16 billion is the number I had in mind too. I think the final total is a little under 13 billion. That's a lot of money. But also what I learned is it's not definitely going back as cash. And this is a big old X factor, right? If it goes if it's sent to creditors as cash, you can look at that potentially as a $13 billion stimulus for this space. It's going to crypto investors. What are they going to do with it? Probably going to cash out a little bit, like just keep,
of course.
Yeah. But again, crypto investors are probably going to degen into some crypto with some of their monies. Again, that's a lot of money to potentially come in this space. Now, they have until, I believe it's later this month, to vote. Creditors get to vote if they want cash or they want crypto. And if they get crypto back, we got to think through that. Is that worse for the crypto market? Or if you're getting crypto back, if you're voting for that, I'm assuming, really thinking about this live, I thought that was bearish. I actually am flipping on that on the spot here. If you're asking for crypto back, why would you ask for it back and then sell it, right? That was my worry. You get crypto back, you're going to dump it. Why would you ask for crypto back when you have the option for cash? Mm-hmm. It makes sense to me that you're asking for crypto back because you're planning to hold it. It eliminates a step for you. Instead of getting cash back and buying crypto, just get the crypto back.
You're gonna get a pulse on the space from that too. That's why it's interesting to me. Like the most exciting part of that whole thing for me is probably the one that people don't really expect, which is like, what decision do people actually want? And it's like, you know what I mean? When you look at that from like a sociological standpoint, it's like, because then you're really going to get a pulse for how the industry is. And if that money does come flooding in, regardless, which I know it is, if you're crypto native, like two things either happen to you. You either got burnt so bad where you're like, I'm just done with this shit, which I highly doubt because we've all been burnt and we're all still back here.
Right.
And then there's the other side where they're going to be like, well, wait a minute, I'm about to go buy altcoins and NFTs. Now, that could be a thing too. Like people will laugh at me when I say that, but like, think about that bull run when we did have, whether it be with alts and NFTs, and next thing you know, you had like celebrities buying shit. So like personally, I'm ridiculously bullish on 2025. I think honestly, there's going to be a massive, I don't even think people are ready for how crazy this market's going to be, because we keep talking about retail. And, in between all this growth, retail's only been dipping their toes in by like conglomerates or buying up companies, acquisitions, smaller labs, keeping their hand in it, but just mostly as investors. That's what VCs like to do. They like to invest in a company just so they can get eyes in that industry, even though they're not directly involved in it. And, in case they do. And same thing with this, retail for the longest time. Now you have BlackRock and all these big institutions that are involved in crypto. And now I think what you're going to see is real retail. When I say real retail, I mean like not that stupid shit where you saw like, Versace was getting involved back in the day, or a company making shoes, NFT, like real adoption. I think it's going to be nutty, especially
Are we
what you
talking
see with
normies, like
normies.
normie
Yeah,
normies?
yeah, yeah. Especially what you see with Blinks now and stuff like that that's going on Twitter. And like
Love
when
it.
you start to see like streamlined payment systems, like guys, the future is boring. Like people don't understand that. Like the fun is actually now. Like people don't know this. Like people don't get this. Like the fun is actually now. It's gonna get boring. Why? Because the boring part's gonna be like you just click a fucking button and there's your crypto, or you just go. It's no different when you go to the store and you swipe your credit card.
Right.
That is the future. We're just not there yet. So right now we're in the mud. We're trudging through on the fun part. But
People have trouble understanding where we're at in a cycle or in the life of a product or platform, just like they're having trouble right now with Pump.Fun, and they're like, oh man, it's over, and just thinking about devs rugging it again, and actually thinking it's a problem when in reality it's just normal. It's normal. The way things will be going forward. I mean, God, like probably 2 million or so tokens have been created on. It's got to be way more than that, but on Pump.Fun just this year. Again, multiply that number by 1,000 over the next couple of years. That's how many coins are going to be minted here, and how watered down this stuff will get. But again, a lot of people
praying for regulation. They're going to be praying for regulation.
Yeah, but to some degree, that is so normal, and what's happening now makes so much sense. And people not recognizing that's what's coming. It's why people get wrecked. It's not recognizing this was the trajectory. It's why people, you see a chart and it goes up, and then just it dumps. People don't recognize the moment when they're in it, and at that time up was that special moment. That time heading down is when it's normalized. That's not something losing per se. That is just showing something getting normalized, and it's kind of happening across the board here in the space. Which I'll tell you this: it's fun as hell to be a part of, right? To get to witness it, like in the trenches with you guys.
I love this shit. Listen, there's nothing better. Like, when you go to in the real world, you got to go out here. You go food shopping or whatever for those moments that we go out.
What?
Yeah. What is that? What is that? It's radically different than the world we get to live in here. Like, I feel like this is the real world almost to me now. Like, I know that sounds crazy, but I almost feel like this is the real world.
I'm with you, dude. I think this is the new norm, as is betting on politics.
The reality I want, at least. I can tell you that. This is the reality I want. I'm tired.
Unavoidable.
Time my whole life. I'm done with that. I want to do this.
It's magic. But again, this is the new normal. It's like Thread Guy said too, man. Picture TikTok merged with Pump.Fun. That's going to be the new normal too. Again, we're betting on a Trump interview. We're betting on shit coins. We're betting on memes. We bet on people to some degree with, well, we did for a bit with Friendtech, but SocialFi. These are all one and the same. They really are. That I want to focus on our last 15-ish or so minutes here. Is SocialFi, Polify, whatever. Oh, fuck, I hate these terms. All of that. It's all, again, it's all part of this same thing that's happening here, and it's just crypto becoming normalized. So Pump.Fun 8 yesterday during the during the Trump interview here. I mean, this was everybody. And knowing that ecosystem is wrecked right now, like devs, some of these numbers I can't verify, by the way. I'll trust the numbers coming right from Pump.Fun, but 3 hours of that interview, tens of thousands of people trading, 10,000 coins. 10,000 coins minted just in that little time frame. Again,
wild.
Was
wild.
Yeah, like I don't know the real number too. I saw somebody else. I'll pull it up. Somebody else tweeted.
I know people in the trenches that were telling me about it, that were launching coins, and they're like, "This is just wild." Like it was nutty.
I'm so mad I missed like the real run of this earlier in the year. I wasn't in it, none of it. I didn't touch it. I was so intimidated by just the meme coin ecosystem, not knowing it, thinking actually the barrier to entry was so high. It wasn't.
Absolutely fucking loved it. I love meme coins. Yeah, I was in there. I loved it. Thought it was awesome.
Dude, I thought it was going to be so... I pictured, okay, this is where TA guys are going to eat. Like, they got their charts up, and they know how to use these bots. And it's guys, I installed that Trojan bot in Telegram. Like, it's not even installed. That, even saying it like that is overstating how difficult or easy it is. Man, a click of a button, I can now trade with a click of a button. That fucking simple. It's literally that easy.
You know what I use? And you know what I use? Actually, a lot of people, I use Photon. Like, when it comes to Solana, I love it. I absolutely love it. And I did, like, don't get me wrong, I use TradingView for, like, I was doing deep TA now, anything like that. But the reality is like, Telegram bots, you snipe things quicker, blah, 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 blah. But honestly, I use Photon, love it. When it comes to like people that build coins, people use a lot of volume bots. But you could start to see, you can differentiate between which ones are what. Because when you're seeing like a ridiculous amount of transactions, but only like, 70 holders, Like obviously, right away you could tell, you could discern that this is, being pumped. But volume bots are a big one that people use. Obviously, snipers, mev bots are huge. You got to be careful of that. That's a whole nother topic one day to
Oh
discuss.
man, all over Solana, by the way.
Oh my!
But dude, the tools have made it easier than ever to recognize that stuff. Bubble maps, letting you see a graphical representation of how many, what addresses are holding how much of the supply. I tell you what, we identified a rug live on the show yesterday. Like watching one of these coins pump, and we're like, interesting. Is this one that's going to take off? Looked at bubble maps, saw was just highly concentrated amongst these wallets. I'm gonna pull up that chart. It's fucking it's wild.
I love it.
But check this. I can't even vet these numbers here. It could be real. 157,000 new coins launched. Like this is a new little trend on X. People throwing out like obvious incorrect numbers because they know nobody's going to check. But also it's just kind of a meme now. Throw out ridiculous numbers, and that's part of like it's like a little inside joke in the space. But still, Pumped Out Fund said tens of thousands, I think, of tokens. It could be this. It could be 157,000 were minted during that space. It sounds a little high, but I don't know.
No, you got to look at how many users are on Solana. Like you can figure that out.
You can.
Do the math, you can see how many users are on Solana. How many active users are on Pump Fund. You can actually check their sites that you can go to type in the site and you can see the metrics. But
tell you what, it's why data is so fucking important. It's why that's our bread and butter, and why we've got some really great shit for you.
I tell people all the time. It may seem boring, but infrastructure means everything, man.
Dude, people's bubble maps. They build out these great graphical representations, but using data, it's the underlying thing. It's what we're in the market of, guys, and all kinds of wild stuff is going to be built off of this data. So again, it's just a little tease, a little baby tease for you. But all to help build trust for you guys and for us. Again, we're right here with you. And at this point, you guys know. Out of all those coins yesterday, again, if I'm trusting this data, only three of those successfully made it to Radium. Got to have a $69,000 market cap to graduate, right? Not a high batting average at all. Again, that pumped up fund space it's pretty damn wrecked at this point.
Wild, man.
But again, they ate almost $1 million they made yesterday. Pumped up fund, that is. Not traders. Traders got wrecked. Devs ate too. Again, all these guys rugging. I saw, again, another number that really's got to be vetted, but that like in a 24-hour period, and it might even be in that 3-hour window, they extracted $65 million on these scam coins. And man, if you wonder why meme coins feel very, very dead right now, it's because of that. Every time these tokens launch, that money's sucked out and it ain't coming back in, man. Yeah.
I don't think they're, I'm not trying to be like, the playing devil's advocate for the sake of doing it, but from where I'm standing, meme coins are not dead. Like they're not, man. Listen, I feel like if anything, bro, when I'm out here and I'm constantly different alpha grid, I got people hit me up like 100 times a day, jumping on this and this and this, and I'm looking at all this, and man, like the action hasn't stopped.
Dude, there's an argument that the Trump shit's dead.
Yeah,
not meme coins, that the Trump stuff's cooked. Yep.
Yeah. No. Honestly, I think it's just going to get started. It's only dead when there's no narrative. I was like, for instance, the next interview, it's going to be kicking all over again. And the next interview, wherever there's opportunity, there will be scammers and there will be people that are trying to make money.
Dude, that's it. And I'm still a believer that the super cycle's coming. It's not a fucking meme. The super cycle is coming. It's getting so easy through blinks, through stuff like Pumped Up. It's getting so easy for normies to come into this space and try it out. And tell you what, that Trump meme coin, if and when it comes, is a really big onboarding tool potentially. But yeah, meme coins are down because you can't be up only forever. Like it's got to come back and settle, and especially this time of year. But again, maybe the Trump meme coin stuff is cooked for now. The rest of the meme coin ecosystem ain't cooked, guys. It ain't cooked. I mean,
no, it's not going anywhere. In fact, it's going to evolve. It's going to continue to grow. You're going to see different platforms tokenizing. Guys, you want to know what mass adoption looks like? Let me tell you, mass adoption is a $1.1 trillion, or what's the market cap of crypto overall right now? Let's take a look. What is it? Overall, I don't know what it is.
Something like 2 trillion, something in that ballpark.
Let me tell you what, mass adoption is not 2 trillion. Mass adoption is not 3 or 5 or 10. Mass adoption is like 20, and that's coming. Like you can bet
that's gold.
That's yeah. You can bet your ass for a fact. Like it's a short. Listen, man, I lived through Web 1, and anyone that understood the concept of Web 1, that was a software developer. The whole idea was decentralization. That was our initial goal. That was the plan. It was a decentralized web, so to speak. So when that bubble popped, obviously the Netscape thing, if you read what Andreessen, Horowitz, all that good stuff, Great book. Hard thing about hard things. Excellent book. I recommend to people. So when you look at that, nobody in the world believed in any way, shape, or form. Like, guys, I remember being in school. People were like, "Oh yeah, the internet's a fad. It's not gonna blow." Bro, you have no idea what you're living. I'm so sure of it that I'd be willing to bet anything, a house, anything that I had on it. That regardless, I'm not saying this is going to be like the best thing since sliced bread or the wheel, but I'm saying like it's going to become a very integrated part of society. Like what it's going to take a new form because all things do. But
I mean, again, this ties then into SocialFi and everything we've been talking about throughout this episode. That is all the stuff that just becomes more and more normal. Betting on everything, tokenizing everything. The fucking DMV in California's tokenized their car titles, right? Everything tokenized, everything transparent on a ledger. That's both good and bad. But so normal that you don't even blink when you hear something about crypto or NFTs. It's like at some point you roll your eyes because it's just obvious everything already is that, and that's what's starting to happen in front of us. Okay, so political fi, we're starting to see that grow this year. It feels like a very, very new thing this year, at least here on the blockchain. So Polymarket, of course, there's BaseBet. There's a bunch of great platforms. You're going to see a lot more of that. First starts with some assets that catch people's attention and they explode. It's a bubble. Next is platforms that come out and they also is its own bubble. Tons of platforms built around that type of asset. So meme coins, we've got all these meme coin launch pads, right? And that's still going to grow too because meme coins, to your point, not dead, will explode again here this cycle. Mm-hmm. Prediction markets are the next thing. Again, there's a couple major ones, but I think we had a new one that launched over on Blast just in the past couple of weeks. I've heard of at least one. There might be two or three over on Solana. They're going to start growing next and become a thing. And I think we'll see a resurgence in those SocialFi platforms. And here's my, I don't know if it's a strong stance.
Define SocialFi from your perspective first, and then we can jump into there.
Yeah, this is where it gets tricky because I think it's all one and the same. Yeah. I don't like these terms because I think it's too confusing for normies. I right in the same way it's like, what's the metaverse? And I explained it this week.
Invest in. That's what it is. It's a narrative to lure investors in. That's all it is.
I think you're right.
Pension money. That's all.
Right. Yeah. Again, metaverse I think was the birth of the internet. When the internet was plugged in, metaverse was born. So I think everything is still part of this metaverse. But yeah, I think political fi, poll fi, whatever, is part of SocialFi. It's the same thing. I think just betting on social circumstances, whether it's people or words or, again, a very specific event to happen. I think you betting on real-world events, I guess, right? And again, people are part of that. I think you betting on that is part of social finance. Again, betting on people is a big part of that. So yes, I look at Friend Tech and the arena. That's SocialFi, absolutely, as we define it in the space. But I think Polymarket to me is part of SocialFi. It is, us socially betting on, again, words being used. I don't know why that's political finance. To me, that's social finance. So I lump them all together. What do you think? What's your definition of each? Political finance and social finance?
All right. Are you ready? I'm about to lay it on.
Oh,
so here's the truth. Yeah. Here's how I truly feel from the depths of my soul. I think that all this shit, and I love it, by the way. Let me preface this with saying that I love all this. I'm a big advocate for the space, all chains. I'm agnostic. I'm in Solana. I'm in everything, base, you name it. I have a ridiculous amount of NFTs, crypto, and everything. And I think it's all the meme coins, the finance asset. It's all bullshit. I think it's complete bullshit. I think that it's literally a casino. This is Las Vegas. Just like I always said, a lot of people gave me, shit for saying that Solana is the casino. It's Las Vegas of crypto. It's the blockchain. It's the Vegas chain. Like, you know what I mean? Like I told you, it reminds me of like the 1980s ads where you got like, the blonde chick in the red Corvette and you're like, you can get rich too, like a Jordan Belfort commercial. Like, you know what I mean? So when it comes to the SocialFi thing, it's like the only thing we're doing is literally having conversations and then adding monetary value. It's just how can we make money off something. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing because without getting esoteric again, we could. It speaks to human nature. Like, you know what I mean? It's just about, increasing wealth and growing and it's just staying active and moving forward, perpetual motion. Like, it's just another way to do all that. So like I'm big on the social aspect. I'm big on the finance aspect, but it doesn't mean that you can't call it like it is. Like, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. Like, you can dress it up, you can do whatever you want, but it's still a duck. So like, to me, it's just another way to make money. It's just another way to lure in investors. I'm all for it. I think friend tech is dope. I think, everything you see with all the newer platforms that's launching is dope. I think even with Inspect, that's dope. The social credit scores and, people that are posting on X. And I think it's going to play a massive role in the future of crypto for sure. The political aspect of it, it's just a way, to politicize and, to create a financial market around politics, which, like, I get it. In fact, you could probably argue that there could be unique ways to raise money for campaigns and, a whole bunch of things you can do. So overall, my sentiment is that there's nothing wrong with the technology in general. It's the people behind it, but it's still just, simply finance and obviously the social aspect. That's why I'm very interested in GameFi, because that's for another topic. But that's because I feel like personally, gamification, I think, is almost a hedge as well against over, I guess, is this even a word, financialization? You know what I mean?
Dude,
Like,
definitely. Yeah.
yeah, like over financializing everything, to me is, gamifying it is a hedge. And I think it's about, it should be more about productivity. And I feel like that's what the space got away from in the beginning when crypto, it was very much about, productivity and moving forward. And, there's some
Like
cool
rewarding
shit.
building and, the
Uh,
positives. Well, I hope we get back to that, and I have no doubt we will. It's just this new sector. All of a sudden, it brings speculation, and of course, there's a lot of shitty stuff that comes with all that. The real stuff, the cream will rise. I fully believe that, right?
I agree with Cosmos, by the way. It actually feels weird to think digital ownership is not already a massive part of the present.
Absolutely.
I
Because we're already
can't believe
doing
it.
it.
We're already
Like,
doing it.
look at Fortnite. We're doing it. How are we not doing it in a safer way? Well, I think some people right now have a vested interest in keeping it the way it is, kind of like our government, right? But
Yeah.
there will be a point where they can't resist anymore. You had mentioned, it's like a casino. It's kind of why we always say that around the Crypto Slam Index, right? This is measuring the value of the market, and the reason it always goes down, even in a bull market, is because it's really measuring the way people play this space, right? This is measuring the top 500 collections that people are almost always selling, almost always dumping to go play the hot new thing, which the hot new thing is not counted in here, right? Something's got to be 6 months old to be counted in the Crypto Slam 500. Again, this perfectly reflects this space as the casino that it is. Sell the thing that's got value, go on the next one, pull that slot machine lever, and hope you hit that jackpot. It is what this space is, for good or bad.
The one engineering
interpretation.
Yeah, the one engineering thing too about this people got to realize is that, like, the software is only a product of the data, and that's with anything. Like, a lot of people don't get that. Like, you can have a UI and a great user experience, all this good stuff, but at the end of the day, what it boils down to is statistics are statistics, odds are odds. You're never going to be able to create the perfect sniper bot. You're never going to be able to create the perfect trader bot. And this is one thing I try to tell people all the time. If you think that this tech, same thing with the military, creating things in the military, this isn't like tin hat, guys. This is real. Like, as someone who worked with developer, like, the government has been experimenting with stuff like this for years. Financial markets, like, you don't think BlackRock, you don't think all these major financial institutions, they've had trading software for decades. I mean, honestly, you know what I mean? So if you don't think that they have found ways with billions and billions of dollars, mind you, like, forget our influence, forget the influence of a VC, forget the influence of the president. Just think about somebody who just has a shit ton of money, and there's a lot of them that have a lot of money that work on Wall Street or financial brokers or anything that, work in whatever fund, TD Ameritrade, whatever it is. The fact of the matter is, if they weren't able to perfect a system like this, you can bet your ass that, there really is no way to do it right now. Like, don't get me wrong, there's odds and all that, but it's like flipping a coin. How they said it'll always be 50-50. There's no way to do that. That's how a lot of this industry is. And I don't think that's a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. There is no way that anyone will truly game the system in the end of the day, especially when it comes to the odds aspect of it. You get what I'm saying? Like, people creating trader bots, you can get, speed, processing power and mev bots and beat people to the chase, whatever it might be. But as far as the actual odds will always be odds. That's just something that's physics. It's in the inherent nature of everything. So, you know what I mean? That's why I always try to bring that point up, because people are like, what's the future of all this with finance and all that? It's just going to become, a digitalized version of what we have already.
That's it. Spot on. All right, a couple of minutes to go. I want to ask your thoughts on, again, just something I'm tossing around in the dome, just thinking through the way I see things going. And again, this does marry these ideas of political fi, social fi. It's all part of a much bigger thing that's happening literally right in front of us. It's these little pieces that are happening independently, and they are all part of something much, much bigger. And I'm going to say a very scary term. Like, this is typically scares the shit out of people, but it is what's happening. A social credit system. I think that is what's kind of happening here. Not on purpose, but it is kind of happening here on the blockchain. When you have a product like Arkham, right, that exposes wallets, you can't change what's on chain. It is there. It is public. It's there for everyone to see. You have things like Bubble Map, right? It's showing you, again, very similar things. It's tailored to a specific product here. And we just got done talking about how kind of scammy this space is. It's the data and it's that kind of reputation that comes with certain wallets, right? And platforms that will save you from getting wrecked by a rug like this, right? Mm-hmm. My thought is, as volume is picking up across all these different assets and meme coins, and again in the political finance ecosystem, and then collectibles and any other sector you like in this space, man, it's building up the reputations for all these individual things. Again, you guys too with your own wallets. This is something you are building reputations for yourself. Do you see this scenario where there is a social credit score that's not called that, right? It's just basically your reputation based on your transaction history, right? Do you think that is something this is actually leading to? And how much do you think that is needed given that this is what's coming? Fake? These are not real. This is not a real person, by the way.
Yeah,
this is not a real person, and at some point,
I saw that yesterday. I saw that yesterday. I was like, "Whoa,
dude, it's getting crazy." And at some point, we need to understand what's real or not. Throwing something like Bubble Maps or Arkham that has, the transaction history of a person, and you start knowing what's real or not, right? They will make it look real at first by funding it this much money, have some fake transactions, whatever, but I think over time, and as we're doing all this stuff, you start seeing what's real.
There's also don't get me wrong. There's ways to detect all this too. You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It's especially the lighting, particularly, but that's what makes it wild,
dude. It's getting crazy. And believe it or not, go ahead.
No, no. Go ahead. What finish your saying? What were you
gonna say? Just about this social credit system. Again, I say it's scary. I think it's also needed, but I also think the positive thing that comes out of that is I think it does let you build an anonymous identity that you can make it yourself. People don't have to see your face. They don't have to know it's you. But if you apply your principles, and your morals to it, and you're good, it can build up its own reputation, and you can stay anonymous that way, and have people trust you that way in a way you could only do here on the blockchain because everything you've done is public. So
it's also this. So here's how I feel about the social thing. I feel like it's fine. Now, I'm a libertarian, so I feel like it's fine as long as it gives an equal shot. Like, you know what I mean? I hate the whole equity and diversity thing. Like, that's just not my bag at all. I think that should be a standard. Like, if you have to talk about something, mentioning it, it's a problem, and I don't want to hear about it. So for me personally, as long as it gives equal opportunity to people, as long as it's not like, okay, this person's social score is all the way up, and like there's a new guy coming into the space, it's never going to get the opportunity to grow. Like, that's what I've realized when it comes to certain social platforms and social media and anything in business and anything in life. Like, there comes a time when something gets so big that, the barrier to entry becomes really high for people, because there's gatekeepers somewhere. As long as it's not gate kept, as long as it's a fair system, then I think that there's going to be credibility there. And the only reason why I think there's going to be credibility, I can give you an example. The main example of why that's like
Cosmos. Here's the beautiful thing about the future. You just pair her with ChatGPT and you pretend she's real for the rest of your life. I'm not kidding you. I'm not even fucking joking. I'm not joking. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna have a few AI girlfriends. I'm going to. I'm not fucking kidding you.
He's gonna be a stud, bro. He's a stud. He's gonna have himself in the picture and everything.
Yep.
So the reason why I think that's because we already do it. If you want to think about what we do now with wallet tracking whales and stuff, people are already following certain whale wallets. We do that right now. So, if you want to call that social credit score, you want to slap a name on that, you call it what you want, but it's already actually happening.
You wreck your reputation, you're kind of fucked coming back. You start over.
Too. You got to be careful. And the reason why I think you got to be careful is because a lot of these guys that are betting, you have to remember, man, winning in crypto, there's metrics that people don't understand are not replicable sometimes. Like, for example, your network is your net worth type of thing. It's getting in early. So most of the time it's just getting in early. You know what I mean? Knowing when to pull out is just simply saying like, hey, I'm not going to be greedy. Like, it's pretty simple math. Like, you know what I mean? If you're okay with a 2-3x and you're like, okay, I can eat. I was telling a younger guy this morning. He was, giving him some advice because he knows I trade. And he's like, yo, do you have any advice for me? And my best advice for him was this. I was like, listen, man, just because you think or you can get a 10x out of it doesn't mean you should try. I said it's better to do 5 2x's than to chase 10x sometimes. And he said, because you never know what's going to happen. Like, accumulate all those little wins and compound interest will do the rest. And that's the problem. People are always trying to get that one big hit and they stay in. They're like, should I pull here? And they're watching that number go up. And I'm like, no, man, take your W while you have it. And there's there's an old saying, there's a saying in crypto, there's always another one. In meme coins, there's always another one. So like I tell that to everybody, there's always another one. So yeah, no, social credit score, it's already happening. Call it what you want to call it. I don't think it should run wild though. I worry about that.
But it's unavoidable. It's just because we're building this history. Because I'm with you as far as what do people do with that?
Privacy is important. Privacy is important. Anonymity is still important. Those things are still values that are important for those that cherish them.
It is. I think that helps us get there. But you're right. We got to be really careful of this. And again, you can't control it. But in the same way, we love whitelists, right? We love whitelists. We want a whitelist. Man, be very careful because this stuff ultimately will lead to blacklists. Those will happen too. They're probably happening to some degree already. They will become much more normal. It's a term I expect to actually get a little more
just create another wallet. People will just create.
But then you lose your reputation too. Like all the reputation you built up on your main wall. It's really interesting stuff that we're heading towards, and we are just at the building blocks of that right now. So just kind of feel where we're going, pay attention to it, just be aware. We're still early, all that stuff. We'll end here, and just a quick note on it because this is wildly fucking impressive. And we talked about this future forward. We talked about this last week before when they were first teasing we hit a milestone. Here is the milestone. And again, I don't know, I've not read into this to know what what their transaction was and the accuracy of that statement. I trust it though. I do. We have smart contracts potentially on Bitcoin on mainnet, which is so fucking cool. Now, a lot of us thought that it's OpCat. We were going to need to get that kind of functionality. I don't know if they're using OpCat or not, although we've seen that on mainnet in some transactions here in the past week. I need to understand this, and I'm not that technical, or I don't know if I ever will.
I've been reading this for the past few days. I've been digging a little bit into it. We'll cover this another time, but dude, yeah.
It's fucking fascinating. Bitcoin's growing. Bitcoin's getting smarter. It's becoming that online computer like ETH has been in these other blockchains. This is super impressive. So GG's to Tap Protocol here.
Yeah, BRC20s are shit. I just want to say that for the audience.
BRC20s are shit?
Yeah, they're shit.
Oh, man. I'm going to make some enemies here. No, I don't. I mean, they are what they are. And all of them get better with stuff like this. All of them. BRC20s runes, all that shit gets better with this.
I had to stir the pot, man. I just wanted to throw it out there. That's all.
Like an asshole. I love it, dude. Dude, hey, man. Really, really loved having you on. Appreciate you spending some time with us.
I love you. You're like a brother to me, man. I love it.
Back at you, man. What else, guys? To wrap. That's a wrap. How about that? That's a fucking wrap. I will be live, guys, at 4:30 p.m. Eastern time right here on SlamX. Follow us at SlamX Official. On YouTube, it is SlamXIO over on X. What's your handle here on X? Hustle Hat? Hustle Hat something?
Yeah, it's just Hustle Hat right
there. You go. Yeah, give my boy Hustle Hat a follow here on X. Awesome fucking dude. What's your role at Crypto Slam?
So yeah, I am the head of marketing. So I handle all the marketing side, all that good stuff. And I do some podcast stuff on the side like the homie. So like either way, just make sure you tune into Hudah, man, because he really is the shit. The guy he's got his ear to the space, in ways that other people don't. I've been doing this a long time, and I'm telling you, this guy is one of the goats. So you stay tuned in. Love you all. It was a pleasure and honor having.
Guys, we'll see you on the afternoon show again, 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. Joe got voted off for an episode. Is that today? We'll find out. Guys, have a great day. We'll see you.